I will modulate my voice to cheerful somehow. They are, after all, strange, happy childhood moments, these, epitomized by the kind of elation I could feel obliterating all other sensation as I stood at the old sink, the one with the lead pipes leading to it that will crystallize and break and, to our good fortune, never be repaired. That time in early summer I'd been running with a glass in my hand and tripped coming up from cobblestone to curb and cut my hand open from side to side so that I'll feel great pride with no adults at home to know to wash it in cold water and let my blood run swirling red into the drain as I proudly proclaim, looking straight in at the still cartilaginous joint of my middle finger, the one between proximal phalange and metacarpal. I'll explain in words I only just learned that very year in art anatomy, years after this incident, when I call all the kids over to say, look, we're meat and bone, because the torn flesh of my hand will be left clearly visible too as the water continues to sluice away the blood so that it will look like steak, the teeny tiniest of steaks. Isn't that what they tell us these days, that as we age we should eat steaks only the size of our palms? Well, this, my child palm, will be only 1/4 that steak size and open for all to see as I extend my fingers as far back as they'll go and then waggle the joint so we can watch it move, its translucent ridge shining amid the meaty red, and so much like the white cartilage end of a chicken breast. I'll know it's not really bone, but won't know what to call it until at 17, in a brief fling with a med student. He'll tell me you can always tell age by the lack of ossification in the hands. Still think about it often enough when I eat chicken. Well, already back then I'll regret out loud that I hadn't known to quell that automatic response that makes you put down a hand to break a fall, which in turn will make me swear to my brother and the older boys there present I'll know to have a plan in place if it ever happens again. To in a split second throw away whatever it is I hold, or to shoulder tuck and roll, and it's true, I will. I've fallen with objects and never again. I've thrown soda bottles afar before flying over bicycle handlebars in a crash after my brakes fail coming down a hill, rolled with objects too precious to break, including much later my infant son, who won't even let out a whimper as I trip on stairs and he's held to my chest as I do a full somersault, so that as well as a strange lesson in anatomy and vulnerability and crazy pride, I will learn from that cut how there are some things that if you examine them carefully can be made never to happen at all. Making me laugh at that as we walk, or try to sound as if I'm laughing anyway, as I add, because I'm asked, that no, there were no stitches taken. Stitches were something we just didn't do in our house. So it was just me, my brother, and the boys who'll come up with the strategy of bandaging my hand and half closing it, which will seem to work well enough until the night 2 or 3 days later when I wake up to the sharp metallic smell of my blood, my gauze-wrapped hand opened under my pillow, awash in pain the way you always are if it's on waking, my sheets drenched in blood, and the only comfort my cat Chiquita, purring as she licks the dried blood out of my hair, so that I will find a way to reward her that fall back at school. 5th grade, I think it was, though we just called it the tens in my progressive school. After the weeks of wrapping and rewrapping the hand as it slowly heals, the skin going hard as only the skin of palm or sole can do, and the middle still open, so that I remember staring down at that tiny translucent white ridge while showing it off to the other kids, or sitting in the school library noting how sometimes the hand gets stuck half open and I have to close it to open it again, and then there's how easily it cramps as I continue on my homage to Chiquita, my first childhood book. The Adventures of Chiquita and Her Friends. A literary disaster, because tomboy terror of soon-to-be up-and-coming near-city Brooklyn that I may have been, soothed by the salt taste of my own blood, I could not even let Chiquita do the same in my book. Won't even write that blood-soaked night into my work, however often I might speak of it in gruesome child triumph to my friends, and take whatever opportunities were offered to horrify the girlier girls in my class by speaking of my whole neighborhood's bloodthirsty delights as I detail the cat's purrs, her slurps as she chews on my blood-caked hair, because the truth is, I never did want anything of importance, anything that really hurt or dismayed, to impinge upon the lives of Chiquita or her kittens. Even the Tom she must have run with nights to get herself in the family way, or elaborating on how we watched her give birth and lick off the amniotic sacs just as she had my blood, were out of the question. I'll only allow for a genteel bit of yowling from fences and the thrown shoes of the cartoons of the time, as I would each day close the blood-red paste cover with its precisely drawn tabby, while chewing on the pink eraser of my pencil, now held in my left hand, breathing in the musty smell of the library's books, while imagining new adventures for the cats not to have. Might as well have called it, as my brother decades later did, the view from his gentrified uphill Brooklyn apartment during Hurricane Sandy. Tales from an event-free zone. Thank you, and happy birthday to Weyman, and happy COVID times, doing something interesting to the rest of you, and may we see each other soon. And isn't my little kitty pretty? Yeah, pretty kitty. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.